A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, something, something, P, Q, R, P, X, Y, Nis, W, G, penis. Now I know my PBCs. Penis, penis, something, penis. Why is my stream remote turned off? That's really dumb. Discord is dumb. Okay, I can turn that down. I think I can just edit out. I can just add an extra space there so it looks good. Update. I gotta have symmetry. Tree Boy's gotta have symmetry. Now I can close all my folders. Yo, podcasting today? Let's fucking go! That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Let me put clips above here. There we go. That way they can see them. Boo-doo, 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 boo. Big chilling. It's chilling vibes today. Do-do-do. Dude.
Reveal thyself.
Reveal this. Hello! You can see me. Hi! What's up? How's it going? Bien esta, how are you? Gonna have a chill little stream today.
Nothing much, just got back home.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're gonna have a little podcast discussion today about Across the Spider-Verse, and we're gonna play some BTD6.
Been playing Magic with friends.
Oh, sick!
There will be nothing chill about today.
Nothing chill. Urgh! You can't see it, but I'm pointing my finger at my webcam angrily. Urgh! Yeah, just chilling and chatting about my favorite movie. I am very passionate person. I have much to passion. What the fuck is this totem pole thing? What is that?
BTD 6000.
Hey, what's up, annoying? How's it going? We're doing something a little bit different today. We're gonna be podcasting, chatting with one of my good friends over on the interwebs, Sleepy Shroomy, and we're gonna be playing some BTD6 and talking about a really good movie. So I hope you stay tuned.
That's the totem pole of Undying from Minecraft.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what it looked like. I didn't know what it was called, but it looked like the thing from The Thing. Honestly, like in modern day, the only way I keep up with Minecraft updates is when like Doug puts out a Minecraft video, or Jack's Films now apparently. Jack has been putting out some content occasionally. So, just as a heads up, spoiler warning for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's been out for like nearly 2 years, so you've had plenty of time to see it. But even if you haven't seen it, hopefully this discussion will help, convince you to go and watch the film. That's my goal.
Spoilers for Gears of War 3.
Spoilers for Gears of War 3, that too. But that's just a given. I didn't feel like a need to put that on stream. I figured that was just understood. Y'all already know that. All my streams are spoilers for Gears of War 3. But not 2. I would never spoil 2. Can I hide code? It's not public, it's... Oh, wait,
Gonna be honest, Across Spider-Verse wasn't for me.
Really? Okay. Well, we'll talk about it today. We'll have a bit of a discussion.
Your code has been revealed, raid.
Oh, no! Don't raid! I don't know how to remove this. Hey, how's it going?
Into Spider-Verse was for me.
Oh, already, Hold on, everything's broken already.
Into the Spider-Verse is also a fantastic film.
There we go.
But honestly, I have a preference, and we'll discuss it. Podcastin,
right.
You set up?
Yes, I am.
Clappy as a ham?
I need the game code.
Oh, well, I'll just invite you. There you go.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Can invite me?
That was a feature. That was not a feature the last time I played, but now is a feature. Apparently.
Oh yeah. Apparently, I don't know where to look at the invite.
That's a great
questioning
question.
how to farm 3 million pops or whatever.
We should have had this set up before. There we go.
Yeah, we're happy.
Anyways.
I have no idea how to farm for 3 million pops. All right,
What do you mean? What's this Minecraft setup? I spent all day making this. I built us an entire room just for this.
Sure, I love your setup. It's fantastic. Also, I forgot what my hero does.
Levels.
I'm
So
pretty high
she
level.
slaps things.
Yes, I remember part of it. I guess you can go here
Anyways.
in this center.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, before we start talking about it,
Yes.
as you guys may have probably guessed, there'll be spoilers for this movie.
Spoilers.
ETD6 enjoyer.
When did this movie come out?
It's about 2 years 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
It's about a year and a half, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
It took me that long to watch it. Wow.
Apparently, I don't know why I was the one who.
I will say it was amazing when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I watch a movie, I think of what the conflict is
Mm-hmm.
and how it could have been avoided. And across the entire Spider-Verse, out of every single one of the Spider-Men they had to send Spider-Gwen to Miles' dimension. If they did, and even if they sent Spider-Man Noir or Spider-Ham, one that he knew, to check up on him, he would not have followed them, which means literally any other Spider-Man went, this entire situation would have been avoided.
Well, you got to think about multiple other aspects to it, right? First off, in terms of sending people there, it was most likely that Gwen requested to go there.
I blame Miguel.
You blame Miguel? Yeah. I see. Gwen had a longing. Gwen had a longing for to see Miles, so she probably engineered the way for her to be able to visit him in the first place. Because when she arrived to Miles's dimension, right? The first thing she did was spawn in right above his bed. Here, have some money. But it's I don't think that the movie really it wouldn't have worked if Gwen wasn't the person who showed up. I think it's is the way that
she spawned above Bro's bed.
I don't think it's weird. I think it's a nice little callback to the end of the last movie where he's in his bed and he sees her. Yeah. But I'm gonna build a spike-a-pult. What was I saying? I definitely feel like it's one of those things that it's not a coincidence. Everybody else from the original crew from the first film that could have went to see Miles definitely would not have done so, specifically because they would rather avoid the conflict that they knew was coming because of the Spider Society's stance on Miles, right?
Penny was depressed or something.
The problem with that is that, let's say that Miguel doesn't think of him as a Spider-Man. Well, when he was there at the Spider Society, they showed his canon event. They showed his Uncle Aaron dying. So, he obviously had his canon event. So, what's the problem? And let's say because of Miles, there can't be a Spider-Man there. Well, there was not a rip in the fabric of reality when, his Peter Parker died.
It was, so, the issue that Miguel takes is that, the Alchemex, techs, spawned in the Spider from Universe 42, right? And that came in and that bit Miles, and that's and saving Miles is what made the new Spider-Man, his Peter A. Parker die, right? So although there are connections with Miles as being a Spider-Man, Miguel is he's not maybe vengeful. I'm not sure. There's he's spiteful against Miles, because if that specific occurrence did not happen, right, then the Spider Society just flat out wouldn't exist. That was the first domino in the opening up, and to what Miguel sees as the destruction of the Spider-Verse began. So I think I'm willing to see past the fact that it's not really truly, he doesn't see him as a Spider-Man. It's not really truly that he needs Miles to follow the canon. It's in this in between where Miles' existence shouldn't happen, but now he exists and he is a Spider-Man, if that makes sense. He can't go back in time. There's no time travel here, which I want to bring up a little bit later, because there is some interesting vibe, like a crossover between like this and a time travel movie. But yeah, it's a situation where now he is a Spider-Man. Now he has taken on that sort of, like, if you've seen Deadpool and Wolverine, which you haven't. Goddamn.
I haven't.
They come up with the term of, like, anchor being, and that's like a person who dictates who's their like universe like relies on.
I seen the movie that was so good.
It was a good movie. But
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Yeah,
I'll just do that.
It's a fantastic. I have my gripes. We can talk about that movie if we want to. Next week. But it's that sort of thing where now Miles carries the torch as the Spider-Man of his world story, and that makes his actions significant to the stability of his world. But that's getting into the controversy in the film between the characters, right? The idea of the story, the canon, and what truly is safe for everyone. Is Miguel's perspective on the stability of the Spider-Verse actually is that the actual truth, you know? So, tell me a bit. So this is, give some context real quick, right? This is you saw the movie for the first time last night.
Yeah.
And I saw the movie 8 times in theaters and like 3 times on streaming. So.
Oh my god.
There's a bit of a disparity in terms of our perspective experience with the film.
I mean,
but tell me about your first
perspective experience.
Mm-hmm.
My first watch, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a good bit about it going in. It's hard to avoid spoilers for probably one of the biggest movies of the year.
Sure.
When it came out. So, like, I already knew most of the characters going into it. I already knew, like, how they would act. I kind of, like, Spider-Punk was my favorite character of all of them.
Oh, I hope he's great.
When watching it. Yeah, because, like, at first he's just... I didn't realize that's who they were talking about. At first, I'm like, oh, it's him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yes, Spider-Punk.
Like, oh, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of art of him. I heard that he was one of the reasons why the movie took so long, because they didn't have him in a consistent style the entire time.
Yeah.
Because he's rebellious. He doesn't want to be tethered down to one thing. And I find that to be really cool and really relatable. And if I could change the art style of myself on the will, I would do that all the time.
It's so
Mostly to
sick.
piss people off.
The consistency of inconsistency is fantastic, and they spared no expense in terms of developing that character further.
When they talked about him before he showed up, I was like, oh, he's the guy Gwen's going out with because she can't be with Miles, but she doesn't want to tell Miles.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so, like, I was expecting him to be the type of, like, jock character, like, you messing with my girl? But then he's, like, probably the most supportive guy of Miles, because like the entire Spider Society is going after him, including Gwen. We can assume that Penny, Porker, and Noir are also with the big crowd. And then he just F's off. He's like, nah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. He is, he's very much, what I love about Hobie is he's not a construct of the story. He absolutely has his own, ideals, right?
No, not him, I do my own thing.
He's a very...
Why are you giving me money?
I don't know. You go build something cool. I built my, silly catapult, so you can make something that, you like.
I'm making money.
Yeah, I'll let you make more money, because I'm assuming we're just going to free play and fuck around. But,
Bro said go build something cool, lol.
Hobie absolutely is his own character with his own morals and, wills, right? So, Miles just innately standing, against the Spider Society by existing is, puts him, and Hobie a bit closer together, because...
Spider-Punk does what he wants.
Yeah, because, Spider-Punk, he, also has disdain for what the Spider Society is doing, and, specifically what he says is, I'm just here for my drummer, right? He's there, to support Gwen. That's why he's present in the first place. And he's not just, a being of chaos, too. He absolutely is motivated as, an activist for what he believes in, you know? Now, what does he believe in? That's nebulous. That's something the movie makes a lot of jokes about. That's kind of a bit up for debate, and whether or not he knows what he believes in is also up for debate. But he truly he walks the talk, you know? He absolutely if there's an establishment he does not agree with, he will do everything in his power to be disruptive, you know? And I really appreciate that about him. He feels very real.
Whatever he wants.
Exactly.
He does definitely feel like the most real character in this fictional movie.
Yeah, he feels he feels very
Flex
real.
bombs on energy field.
He feels like how most people would probably react to it. When I saw the Spider Society, my immediate thought was the Council of Ricks from Rick and Morty.
Sure.
I'm a Rick and Morty fan, so I've seen a lot of that. So like, oh yeah, it's a multiversal council of a bunch of the exact same person.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, they're not tied together by the same name, by the same family. They're tied together by the burden they share.
Sure.
They all carry the mantle of Spider-Man in their own universe, from the cat to the pig to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. They all gotta be the protector. And that's what brings them all together.
Did you catch the name of the car Spider-Man when that shows up for a single shot?
No.
It has because throughout the movie they have those little text blurbs, right? That pop up on screen. The context text, we'll call it that, and it shows what his name is. And the car Spider-Man is a Peter Parked Car. That's his name.
Peter Parked Car.
That's his name.
That's an amazing name.
It's fantastic. I love it. I love it so much.
I love how like even with just like showing the Spider-Man, you could see their personality with their suit a lot. Like Miles is very rebellious because he has like an all-black suit with the bleeding armpits for some reason. I don't know why he came up with that. But then it's like Gwen, she has a hood on hers because she kind of wants to be mysterious. She wants to not be seen because like that's just how she is, and that in her universe she is wanted. Like in most universes, the biggest menace to Spider-Man is J. Jonah Jameson. Do you think Headline is in the Spider Society? Do you know who that is?
I don't know who Headline is. No.
Headline is a version of Spider-Man where J. Jonah Jameson was bit. And J is the Spider-Man of that universe. And I find that to be pretty cool, because that means in pretty much every single universe, He thinks Spider-Man is a menace, except for the one that he's in.
Yeah, I'm a fan of J. Jonah Jameson as a character, you know, and specifically like the J.K. Simmons portrayal of the character is fantastic. That mix between comedic and just like, you know, sometimes in real life bosses just do be this shitty, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just reality. So, tell me about like your thoughts on the film. What would you like? Would you dislike?
Okay, so I really liked how they have a bunch of different Spider-Man. They showed like their personalities, the different like worlds they were in. I really liked how it was very well animated. I know it's like one of the biggest things people say about it because it was beautiful. It was so good. I wish I saw it sooner. I love how perfectly they did the story, how they kept everything together. Like how it didn't feel forced like a lot of sequels did. Like, I'm gonna be honest, the Tom Holland Spider-Man, we talked about it yesterday. I like the movies, I don't like the concepts. Because, like,
it was colorful.
Spider-Man Homecoming
Very
was
colorful.
great. It was very good. It was a perfect first Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man Far From Home, I loved that too, because that is also a perfect Spider-Man movie. It's just Peter Parker wants to go on a class trip to Europe, but it's not his fault Mysterio is messing stuff up for him, so he has to adapt to it. Spider-Man No Way Home, I grew up with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, so I liked that. But what I didn't like is it kind of felt forced. Like, how Ned just gets the rings, show me Peter Parker. And it just happens to be those two there.
Yeah.
Like, he obviously meant his friend, but why did the ring give those to him?
Here's a
fan service.
Quick
Fan service.
Quick little tangent. So I don't know if you remember the specific period of time where the movie had not come out yet, but we had the trailer for the film. All it showed was Doc Ock is in it, and then a laugh of the Goblin. Do you remember that period of time, specifically in which most individuals were denying either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire being in the film? Do you remember that morsel of time?
I remember that time. I didn't believe it. Like, once I saw they brought the actors back for Doc Ock and Green Goblin, I'm like, oh, they're bringing everybody back. And I was like, you know what? That's really cool seeing them all together.
Yeah.
But did they really have to do that?
Does it add much to the film?
Hello, Peter.
No.
Hello,
like,
Peter.
Spider-Man, no. It did. It added a lot more money going to Disney pockets. But, like, having Spider-Man in Infinity War go to space with Iron Man is fine, because that's an Avengers movie.
Sure.
But a Spider-Man movie, he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He should be grounded to, like, villain of the week, you know? It doesn't make sense unless it's, like, the Spider-Verse movies, which is, like, delving into the multiversal stuff. And a regular Spider-Man film, like with the old Spider-Man films, I like them. I like how they're grounded to it. They're not over the top.
That's what I love about the Spider-Verse films. They do such a great job at making a story you could only do with a multiverse film. They're using the multiverse convention to make a movie you couldn't do otherwise, and it's executed so beautifully in each.
It is amazing.
So, I can bring up a couple topics I have off the top of my head.
Yeah.
The first one being, one of the things I always talk about when I discuss this film is that I love that we start in Gwen Stacy's world. To me, that's my favorite art style in the whole film. Of all the different places we get to see, it's my personal favorite. It's so gorgeous. I love how expressive her world is. I love the long strands of color that permeate through the world. I love how the backdrop will just disappear
I mean,
when the tension Yeah, the color is real. The tension that is created, when the tension gets high, just everything else fades away because these two characters are locked in this conversation, and the whole world fades away to them as well. The transitions that are done throughout the film, whenever like the specifically with like the subway doors when they close and reopen, and she's like completely changed. The way that they use like window reflections as well for her, like as like natural flashback imagery, you know, it boggles my mind. Absolutely, it's so gorgeous.
One problem I have, it's not with that, it's that the way it is near the end when Gwen is talking to her father for the first time in months, that means that she probably hasn't been to her world in her universe in like what 2 months, she said. So what are her villains doing? They're just out and about. Who is taking care of them? So like that's my problem with the Spider Society. If they're all there at the Spider Society doing their Spider-Man things there, who is taking care of the villains in their world?
Yeah, I think that's a fair.
Not all worlds have like the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, like the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield movies. They don't have the Avengers. They don't have the Fantastic Four. So let's say one of them goes to the Spider Society. Who's going to take care of their villains? If that happens in the MCU, well, there's I say Iron Man, but there's no Iron Man. There's like Doctor Strange. There's Hulk. He's still around. They can take care of it. But like,
Sandman.
not every universe has one of those.
I think.
So like, I was thinking when she saw her father for the first time, like, who was like protecting them? Because Miguel's like the entire thing is there has to be a Spider-Man in every universe. It has to be that one to protect people. But if they're all there, they're not protecting anybody. They're just letting people die because there's nobody there to protect them.
This comes into when we're talking about like MacGuffins, right? And I think secretly the biggest MacGuffin in the movie is the AI, right? She allows for a lot of different things to be kind of like hand waved away. Because she has omnipresent knowledge of the multiverse. So, to my thought, right, now this does take us a bit into speculation for the next movie, but I feel like we're gonna see a bit of a discussion about this topic in the next film, because the new Spider Group, right, I don't know whatever name we want to give them, right, the group that we have at the very end of this movie, that's Miles, the original Into the Spider-Verse group,
when is the next
and
film,
Hobie.
damn it?
No idea when the next film is. Hobie's there, and Moonbot Spider-Man is there. That whole group. I feel like part of what they can teach the Spider Society is that I don't necessarily think that the Spider Society is letting their worlds die by being there. I feel like this being members of the Spider Society has been like escapism for them. I feel like that's where they're going instead of spending their time at home. Their AI on their watch can tell them you need to go back and punch X villain or whatnot, right? Because clearly we don't have enough information on what their actual day-to-day is like. That's left pretty nebulous. But I feel like they the one thing that they're gonna learn by the end of this is specifically with multiverses how it's the no place like home sort of Wizard of Oz finale. We're missing that in the second half.
But like the way her dad reacted to seeing her made it feel like that there was like no news on like her being there. There was no news on just a Spider-Man being there. So that's what I thought. But you might be right with that, but we do not know.
We don't know. It's speculative. I don't see it as a true big plot hole because I'm going to spoil it right now. Across the Spider-Verse is a perfect 10 out of 10 for me. And there is no...
You're rating them?
I have to throw it out there because I feel it is my duty to clarify that I am a believer that it's a perfect film. So I felt obligated to at least address that. But specifically when we're talking about the movie, I see no parentheses plot hole that makes the film no longer track at all.
It's not. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's unwatchable. I'm just in my mind. I'm like, who is taking care of like their worlds while they're gone?
Sure.
I just imagine Spider-Man. They have a pet at home, but their pet is the villains they have to beat up. Who is there feeding their pet? Who is there beating up their villains?
Sure. And this is another thing that maybe we will get information about later on, and they have some sort of way, like how Jess is able to force ghost herself to talk with Gwen, right? They are able to keep perfect tabs on their universe. I think I think a part of the issue that I might argue what we might be in store for is that the Spider Society allows the Spider People to be the hero 24/7, and they are intentionally throwing away that personality, that human element in favor for being the hero all the time, and that's wrong, right? It's it's an incorrect framing of your own life. And we could very well be set up to see some of that brought up in the sequel. But more specifically, I would like to focus on, instead of, what might be, I'd like to talk about what there is. So a big part of the film, whenever people I hear complaints about it, one of the things I always hear thrown around is the Uncle Ben joke in the Spider Society when the Miles chase starts, right? Where
like the therapist,
yes,
Spider-Man.
He's like, let me guess, he died, right? That whole sequence makes a lot of people very angry at the film, because they're like, that's the core of Spider-Man's character that you're joking at. What an insensitive thing to say. But my argument about the film, and part of why I love its story so much, is specifically that this Across the Spider-Verse is the perfect first half to finally land on the ultimate truth about Spider-Man as a character, which is that if you wanted to define Spider-Man in a dictionary, in a glossary or what have you, Spider-Man is truly not defined by the death of Uncle Ben, or by any of the quote-unquote canon events that the Spider Society exists to uphold. Spider-Man is defined by the meek, the David and Goliath, the impossible odds that they choose to take on, and the selfless act of continuing to take on those odds every single time. It is the questionless defense of the innocent that defines Spider-Man as a character, and that's what we're set up to receive. I feel, especially in this next installment, it's perfectly set up to say, you don't have to have your uncle, who is named Ben, die for you to be a Spider-Man and for you to be a hero. There is no required loss. You can very easily see where we're going. Great one to revisit, especially when the new one comes around, is the talk with the guidance counselor. Miles is extremely distraught by first place, and write it down on this piece of paper. And that thought in general is disturbing to Miles. Story does not supersede that of just life, I don't know if I'm phrasing it properly, but I think you can see what I'm saying, that the conventions of story do not dictate quality. It's not, there's no true requirement for heroism. You can't write a book on selfless acts.
Yeah.
And
But
it's...
if you write a book about it and monetize the book, then it doesn't become selfless anymore.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for the what's it called, the glass, what's the word for it, like the online phrase for the echo chamber that the spider society creates. There's a lot of really strong real world parallels in this film that I just eat the fuck up. And just the whole creation and existence of the spider society is innately wrong. It is it is a fundamentally flawed system. And I love so much about this film that if you just really take the time to consider what Miguel has created, just on your own, you can come to the same conclusion that Miles has. It makes perfect sense. I feel like I myself and almost everybody is on Miles' side just by the fact that he's fucking right. Damn. All right. Not bad. 138. Do you want to be in control of what the next map and everything is? I'll let you choose that.
Sure.
You're a bit more savvy on the balloon side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's something you would like to share about the film?
Hold on, I need to invite you. I don't know.
Sure. So you just click the little green plus button right in the lobby?
Green. Yep, and you're the hash brown.
I'm not the hash brown.
You're not the hash brown? Then why'd I get a friend request from them earlier?
Oh, I think probably somebody else sent that to you, maybe, that's watching the stream? I don't know.
No, that was before stream.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I just played online with somebody. There we go, I sent you an
Yes, I hear.
invite. But, see...
Make sure to turn off map split. If you just go one to the left, it'll do all.
What if I want map split?
I'm gonna piss baby cry.
Do it!
Don't do it! Don't do it! I'm shaking in my custom seal leather boots. Baby seal leather boots.
Here we go. You might want to change your hero.
Yeah, I don't have...
Do you have Pat, Fusty, or Brickle?
I don't know. I do have Pat Fusty. But
Okay, you pick Pat Fusty.
I don't know who Brickwool is.
I'll
the
be
boat
Brickle.
person. The boat person, gotcha. Alright.
I would pick one of those two.
Alright,
Because Pat Fusty can also be placed in the water.
there you go. I got Pat.
There you go. But, see, the
Pat
movie
McCrack.
with me, I grew up watching a lot of the Spider-Man movies, so I liked a lot of the references in it. I liked the beginning where they referenced the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest concern, like we talked about this last night, my biggest concern is that the next MCU Spider-Man movie, they want it to be like a multiversal movie. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want any references to... maybe like a one-off reference like Miguel did at the beginning, but like I do not want the the Spider-Verse movies and the MCU movies to cross over, because that thematically would not make sense for the MCU or the Spider-Verse, because it seems like Miguel is trying to leave that universe alone. But I'm afraid that's gonna happen.
Well, there was the MCU tag. Specifically, what he said at the very beginning of the movie was, "Don't even get me started on the Doctor Strange and Peter from World like 1999, 1999. I think is what he said, something like that.
Yeah.
And I view it as like a cute nod, and I don't mind.
It's a nod.
There's a difference between cameos and connected story, I feel. Right? No Way Home is a connected story, while Donald Glover showing up as the Prowler or the convenience store lady from the Venom movies is a cameo. I have no problem with cameo. The execution of cameo is an important subject that we should discuss, because we're talking about a multiverse film. But connected story is a very difficult thing to pull off. And most franchises do so poorly. They fail, like, outright. So Spider-Verse is still the exception for multiversal storytelling. And I'll say this. I even in the context of, because what's interesting, we're having this discussion after the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, which is the most successful multiverse film of all time. Upon like our discussion,
I should have seen it by now.
It's fine. But I even within those contexts, it does not rise to the level of the Spider-Verse films. It has a strong buddy cop like script, but
wasn't Deadpool and Wolverine supposed to be like making cameos and references for fun, to like fun of it, because it's a Deadpool movie? A lot of the Deadpool movies are just jokes and gags because it's Deadpool.
Yeah, what I like about Deadpool and Wolverine is that the film decides upon a greater purpose besides shits and giggles. And I feel like it meets the minimum requirement to validate that. So what I mean is that what I'll spoil is that the film truly is a send-off and the minimum requirement of a love letter to the 20th Century Fox X-Men and Fantastic Four films. It is a goodbye to these characters. And it is a celebration of what these very flawed movies, the experiences that they provided for fans and cynics alike. So I think the movie succeeds in that way, but it definitely, in my opinion, does not rise to the level of this story needed to be a multiverse movie, right? They had no true requirement to make the Deadpool movies and the Logan movie take place in the same universe. That was not a requirement. They didn't have to do that. And thus, if they did not do that, they could have told the exact same emotional arc without the need for multiverse, period. It was unnecessary for the story that they told. Their buddy cop plot did not require it to be there. So the thing is that when you have a major element like the multiverse in your movie, and your plot does not truly require it to be there, then the only thing it's going to do is stand in the film's way. You are stepping on your own feet for clout, essentially, right? I'll be upfront. I think that there was potential in the climax to the multiverse saga for the MCU. I feel like there was truly a way for the Kang arc, while that was still the plan, to be a solid like validation for why we went multiverse in the first place. Besides the obvious answer being money, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Kang's Multiverse War could have had some story reasons that validated pulling out the multiverse money card.
My biggest problem with the MCU right now is all of the shows. Because, like, back when the MCU started, there was not an MCU. It was, let's put this guy as Iron Man. Because people like the Iron Man comics, let's make an Iron Man movie. That'll be cool. And then they made what? Which one came next? Captain America: First Avenger?
So, I'm pretty sure the order is Iron Man, then the Incredible Hulk, then Captain America: The First Avenger.
But was that the Hulk movie? Was that Hulk movie canon? Because they switched the actor for Bruce Banner.
Technically, it is canon. Because Thunderbolt Ross is there, and the plot of that movie is referenced, and the place that Bruce Banner is at the end of the Incredible Hulk movie is basically where Natasha finds him at the beginning of the first Avengers. So I think technically it is canon. Except for the part where Hulk blood...
The MCU is Disney Plus. It's because, like, back then, that was a Avengers movie once every, like, 2-3 years. In recent years, it's been, like, once every, like, year and a half. And that's okay, because those are movies. But now it's 5 Disney Plus shows, then a subpar movie, then 5 more Disney Plus shows, then a very good movie, and 5 Disney Plus shows. So if you want to be up to date on the MCU, you have to do a lot of homework. You have to watch so many shows. And Disney just ruined the MCU by making it corporate like that.
Yeah, I don't like the show push. I have a personal bias against television just in the specific way that I don't enjoy watching TV as a medium, personally. I find it difficult to commit to watching long-standing shows. It's just, it's a, I don't know if it's my attention span is low, or if I don't like it when my art requires me to have such a high level of investment. As you can probably tell, I don't read that much. I like film as my favorite medium because there's a succinct element to it. And these stories you can expect more from because they have so much more time to craft into a smaller experience. That's just my preferred art medium. And when it comes to streaming shows, just the meandering of it all, the pointlessness of the repetition, it's something that I have a lot of difficulty coping with.
Star Wars did really well with the Disney Plus shows. Like, the difference between Star Wars and Marvel is, with Star Wars, their stories went the middle films first, and they made the prequels, and they made the sequels. All the shows are just extra filler content. Like, this isn't stuff that's going on currently in it. This is just stuff that technically already happened. We're just seeing it now. So it's not as imperative to the story that you see it. Like, if you were to watch only the main 9 Star Wars movies, you do not need to watch any of the shows to, like, know what's going on. But with Marvel, you have to, like, currently you have to watch all the shows so you know what's going on. And it's really, really annoying.
I do have a personal experience that relates to this topic. So I've shared that I don't like shows. So obviously, I have not seen Miss Marvel. And
I haven't seen that either.
I will share, though, that guess what I did see? I did watch The Marvels. I went to theaters and saw that film, having no context for the MCU Miss Marvel in terms of seeing her show at all. And
is that for Captain Marvel? It's
Captain Marvel. It's the team up movie of Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and then the lady from WandaVision. I can't remember her name right now. No, the one with the plasma powers.
Marvel's is
Agatha?
No. She's the one who works for SHIELD, and she met her mom, something like that. She's the outsider that comes into the bubble to help, like, get Wanda out of it.
No idea.
Her name is like Plasma or something like that.
I watched WandaVision when it came out, when Disney Plus came out in, 2019? But, I don't remember it, because its story was kind of meh. I liked what they did, because, like, Wanda just wants a family. She just wants a family with Vision. So, like, her encasing herself in her own little bubble of, like, her, like, own society where everything's perfect. Everything's a sitcom for her, you know? That is very perfect for her. The show, standalone, using the characters, is good. I like it. It's just, in terms of the story, doesn't matter much to me.
I like that it was personal. I feel like the MCU has become so impersonal. It's become so corporate, and it's become so, like, every movie has to be about something bigger than the last. For example, por ejemplo, the Black Widow movie, there was no reason that this Black Widow prequel movie had to do with this enormous society in a camouflage giga helicarrier led by the Russians that just kind of fucks with the continuation of the MCU as a whole, because now we have to deal with that being in our peripheral, in our past. It could have just been a solid a family film, and it didn't need to be of such a large scale. It becomes like not relatable in the slightest. It becomes something that I just can't I struggle to care about, unfortunately.
I find it really funny that Hawkeye is such an underwhelming Avenger that they didn't even give him a movie, they gave him a show.
Which I have not watched. It's not
that good.
Let's go ahead and get back onto topic, discussing Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay, who was your favorite between both Spider-Verse movies? Who was your favorite Spider-Man? Any of them?
It's I don't have to think about it. It's Gwen. It's Spider-Gwen. I love me some Spider-Gwen. I love. I think she really nails the angsty teenager shtick in a way that a lot of media fails to do. She's a very passionate person. She has a lot of strong feelings, and I absolutely buy the mistakes that she makes. I feel like that's an important thing for characters, is to be able to agree and understand their shortcomings, and we absolutely get that from Spider-Gwen. Her lowest of low moments.
Agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, she is a angsty teen written well. Like, spoilers for Beetlejuice 2, but I did not like Astrid. She was an angsty teen to be an angsty teen. She hated her mom for why? It's not her fault her dad died. She's just written to be this unlikable character. So I was sitting there in the theaters the other day, it made, the way she was written is how most, pretty much, Gen Z is written, which is just angsty, mean, hating their parents for no reason at all. But, with Gwen, she's still angsty, she has that, but she still has a love for her father. But, it's shown that, every chance she gets, she gives him a hug. You know, that's showing she actually cares, but,
that makes me want to cry, seeing that scene, that spot where, it's cut down the middle, and she's, over on the side, and he's at her doorstep, and then she runs through the frame to hug him, and then the room literally brightens up, makes me want to tear up. It's amazing.
Yeah, she is written very well for a character like that, and that's not a bad thing. That's a more of Hollywood. Do better. Write more characters like her. Don't write angsty teenage kids who hate their parents to hate their parents.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I think it's a bit of an epidemic right now, for sure.
It's just very infuriating to me when characters are written like that, because it's like, I'm an angsty teen, but I love my parents. I should say that I'm not going to be a teen for much longer.
I'll throw on there as well Miles. Miles is extremely well written as a teenager who's going through some attachment issues with his parents. You know, that developmental stage where you're ready to start receiving more responsibilities, but also that awkward growth phase. You know, where you're not quite an adult, but you're also not quite that same kid anymore. And I love the conversations he and his parents have, specifically the one with Rio, when they're on the rooftop while the party's finishing up. And she talks to him in that great dialogue that's obviously written for both ways, when she talks about how she's worried that the rest of the world won't take care of you like we do. and you just have to show them that you are that you have to prove to them in that way that you are valuable, and there needs to be a part inside of you that takes care of you the way we want to take care of you, you know. That whole segment is so beautifully orchestrated. The film is extremely and intelligently written. It just makes you want to cry. I've cried many tears while watching this film over and over again. It's profoundly emotional and just beautifully executed.
There is so many good things about. I didn't tell you what my favorite Spider-Man is.
Yeah, tell me.
It's Spider-Man Noir. Spider-Man with a gun is funny.
It is funny, especially Nicolas Cage
Like,
Spider-Man with a gun.
Like, you have all these great reasons, like, oh yeah, this is a well-written character. My favorite character is the Spider-Man with a gun because he kills people.
Well, now there's two, right? There's the web gun. There's web gun. There's the web slinger Spider-Man, right? That's technically a gun, even though it just shoots webs.
Like, yeah, the gunslinger Spider-Man does have a gun, but I just, like, the idea of a Spider-Man with a gun and, like, shooting people, like, straight up, in the first, and the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, in that one, it shows Spider-Man Noir's backstory, he just straight up kills people.
Yeah.
The wind
Like,
follows me,
like, he's talking
and the
about
wind,
cannibals
it
that
smells
killed
like
the
rain.
Cannibal mafia that killed Uncle Ben and ate him in front of him, and later it just shows him go up, just shoot them and kill them. It doesn't show any blood. But I just think the idea of that is so cool.
Yeah. I love Miguel's motivation as a villain. He's very well constructed, and it's this sort of arc where you do 100% understand why the big bad believes and does what he does. You know, it's a crushing story that I feel in a flashback encapsulates what the best multiverse stories have ever been able to do. Like, just in that flashback, it covers absolutely everything that any half-decent multiverse story has done. And they do that just to establish and continue their own amazing arc. It boggles my mind. But yeah, like, his grief over the loss, his personal loss, is so strongly felt, especially when they come back to it later on, when he's trying to validate his choices to the group as well, and you get to actually see some of the footage of that. There's no chance that we're not going back to that later in the next movie, right? As we get a sort of explanation. We recontextualize what the actual mechanic is about these multiverses collapsing on themselves, and when Miles' point of view turns out to be true. We're absolutely coming back to that segment, that other world where he stepped in, he destroyed by intervening. We're gonna get more context on that for sure.
So do you know Batman villains?
Yeah, pretty well.
So I consider the standard I have kind of this scale of like good villains. And the epitome of a good villain is either one that's relatable, one where their motivation is a good motivation, but they're doing bad things, or they're bad to be bad, which is perfect with Joker and Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze's motivation is his wife has this disease that what does it do? Like freeze her blood or something? I don't know. It's an incurable disease.
Yeah.
Everything that Mr. Freeze does is for her. Everything he does, like if he steals something, if he and he doesn't usually kill people, like everything he does is a cure for her. And then Joker is just bad to be bad. Joker is the epitome of a bad guy because he just wants to kill. He wants to do fun. His entire motivation as a villain is to get Batman's attention for the laughs. So because of that, they are the two sides of villainy that make them perfect. Because they're either villains that are relatable, like if I had a wife like Mr. Freeze, and she had that, I would do exactly what he's doing to save her, you know? And like almost every single iteration of Mr. Freeze, he's a bad guy, but he's good because what he's doing is bad for good intentions, which would technically make him an anti-hero, just in his own way. And then with Joker's just being bad for fun. Like I said, he's like everything in most iterations of him. My favorite iteration is Heath Ledger. Perfect. He literally says he's like a dog chasing the mail truck. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what's going to happen when he gets there. He's just doing it. He's just doing it to have fun. Then you get characters like Thanos, who, in his eyes, he's good. He's snapping away half the people so the other half can prosper. You got Magella. He just wants a family. He's doing good. He's doing good in his own way.
He did want a family.
That he wanted a family. But he realized that's something he cannot have because by going to that universe, he broke it. So what he's doing by creating the Spider Society, that is him doing good in his own way. And if it means trapping Miles for a few days so he doesn't stop his canon event, then what's it matter? But with that, by not letting Miles have a canon event, that means Miles is actually a Spider-Man. He's part of the web, which means everything's intentional.
It truly, the struggle between like Miles and Miguel here, it again, I'm just going to go back to the fact that this is the first Spider-Man film that will truly get to the core of what it actually means to be Spider-Man. And specifically here, we're talking about how the reason why Miguel is a villain is because he has given up what truly defines a Spider-Man, which is struggle against all odds to do as much good as possible, to save as many people as possible, no matter what the universe says. It is that, like, they make a lot of great jokes in the film to, for example, Tom Holland Spider-Man holding the two trains together with the webs, right? Yeah. That's in every, like, Spider-Man trilogy somewhere. And, it's that sort of visual struggle. And, Miguel, knowingly or unknowingly, specifically in this case unknowingly, has given up the fight against insurmountable cosmic odds. And that's something that Miles is unwilling to do. And that's what I love so much, is that we are truly building up to that conclusion, being specifically like in bold text. This is what defines a Spider-Man, because our villain and our hero both consider themselves one. And by the end of this next film, we'll finally be able to have a full, complete story that perfectly characterizes what Spider-Man is.
Didn't they not want to make it a part 1 and part 2? They just wanted one big movie?
No. It was always, I can say this myself because there was an issue that a lot of people, when they saw Across the Spider-Verse, another big gripe at the time upon release was that they didn't like there was a cliffhanger because they didn't know it was a 2-part film going in. I will say, one thing they did change is that originally the movie was going to say Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 as the title. But they removed that, so that is a bit of deceptive marketing on the terms of the marketing team, and there is a business reason for that, because most people don't like watching part 1 of the film when they know they're buying into a very small portion of a larger film. So I get that complaint, but myself, as a true fan of these films, I knew it was public knowledge all the way back in 2017. That when they announced they were continuing Spider-Verse, that it was going to be a 2-part story. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller already knew they wanted to tell this tale way back in the day. So none of this was not planned. The delay between the 2 parts was planned.
I have to use the bathroom.
Okay. Go piss.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Balloons Tower Defense.
Entertain them.
Yes! Well, if you got any questions, got any comments, or anything you want to say about the film, You can hit me up in my chat. I should pull up Shroomi's chat. Let me do that real quick. I'll pull up Shroomi's chat. That way I can read if anybody's typing there. And I can react to some stuff. Cha-cha. I got some cute little jams going on right now. There we go. Mihio, Real Tomo, Paul, back to you too, Backy Bot. Can I pop out the text chat? If I... Nah. It's good. See, if you post a message in either chat, I'll be able to read that. Isn't there a way I can get, like, the chat-specific thing? I don't know. Continue. Don't tell Trumi I continue the game.
I want you to know, I still kept my headphones on.
You did? Oh, okay. I didn't say anything bad. Not like last time.
That,
Do you remember the last time we were
right
streaming
here.
together? There's the last time we were streaming together, and you went to the bathroom, and I pulled up the Wikipedia page for racial slurs. And I just like reacted to them without like showing them on screen because I wasn't streaming and you were. I did actually pull it up. I did look at them.
Oh no.
That time, yeah.
I would never do something like that again. A second
you're
time.
You're live now, so you can't do that.
I can, because I'm just streaming Balloons Tower. I can pull up the racial slurs wiki right now. You can't stop me.
We're not doing this on the podcast.
Okay. So, what's the next topic you'd like to discuss about the film? I guess I shared something that you didn't share. I shared what my favorite art style world was in Across the Spider-Verse. What is yours?
Mine? I just gotta think of
specifically for the art. So we got the original Miles Morales world, right? We have Gwen Stacy's world. We have Spider-Man, future Spider-Man's world. We have Mumbattan, and then we have the Dark Timeline, Miles's world. And
I actually really like the Dark Timeline.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me of Gotham.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, I see that.
Gonna be honest, I'm more of a Marvel fan, but I do really like Batman and his world because I think it's really well done. When it's well done, especially like in the Dark Knight trilogy, it is well done. But like I really like the Dark Timeline. It was just so menacing. It had me on the edge of my seat because like at first it was like, oh yeah, his mom thought that was actually him. His Uncle Aaron knew immediately that was not.
I am not a
his
disappointment.
Spider.
I am vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman.
Because they don't have a Spider-Man there. And just the way, Prowler Miles just stared into our Miles' eyes, just the way he stared at him without like any emotion. He looked so pissed off.
Yeah, the throughout the entire film, the emotion, the facial expressions of the characters is mind-blowing. They're so expressive. I was looking at Miles's father during the guidance counselor scene in the movie when I was rewatching it today, and just his posture throughout the scene provides a large portion of comedy too. It's so well thought out. Absolutely, like mind-boggling in terms of scope and commitment to physical storytelling. You know,
Yeah.
that extra 10% that you could convince a board member of some studio that you can save some money on. You don't actually need to do that. Go to that level for an animated film. They don't need that level of dedication.
I'm really excited for the next movie in the series to come out, but I know that might be another couple years just because like all the different art styles, all the art style changes, especially with Spider-Punk. he's probably gonna have a bigger role in it now that he's like part of the team.
I will say,
So I think
well,
that then if they go to his world, I'm afraid of what that's gonna look like.
I'll share this. I keep up with not only like watching a lot of modern films, but I also maintain information on. Wait, should I put the X here? I guess it's better just to put the wildfire over here. Yeah, I think that's better. There's no reason not to, right? This top right corner doesn't actually mean anything. So I'll share that. With my level of inside business knowledge about these films, the true reason for the original concept, both movies were made alongside each other. So Beyond the Spider-Verse was in production at the same time that Across the Spider-Verse was. And the only reason why we didn't get that movie this year, which was the original release date, the idea was it would be 1 year, and then a year afterwards you would get Part 2, Beyond. The biggest reasons are for reshoots / changes that they're making to finalize the film. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are noted perfectionists, and they won't accept anything less than perfect, which I can respect. They don't want to release the movie until it's for sure done. But B, there's additional delays due to the issues caused by the actors and writers and directors strikes. The feedback of the directors, writers, and actors strikes from early this year is still reverberating throughout the industry. So I was hoping for a late 2024 release date, but I think like a summer 2025 release date is probably expected for Beyond.
Yeah. I am very excited to see it. I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them like have all the characters from the first movie back together.
I love
that'll be so cool. I know. I love Peter Porker. He's so funny.
There's a lot of comedic personalities in these films, and John Mulaney's nice to see, and Andy Samberg actually does a really great job as Scarlet Spider. I love his character. He's great comedic relief.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what other spiders they're gonna bring into it for this one, because I bet Miguel is gonna have a lot more spiders like on his side helping against them, but I wonder which ones they will be. Like, are they just gonna be generic Peter Parker clones? Like, Peter B. Parker is gonna be like a Peter C. Parker? Imagine a Peter C. Parker that's somehow worse of a Spider-Man than Peter B. Parker.
I do like that they introduced Peter B. Parker as, Spider-Punk says, humbling reality Spider-Man. that kills me.
I feel like he's more just Adam Sandler Spider-Man. That's just how he is.
He's such an excellent character. I really love Peter B. Parker, and I love the heart that they give him from his own universe. You know, he does go back from Into the Spider-Verse.
Peter Bit Parker.
Peter Bit Parker. He sorts out his life, and I love the ideas of mentorship throughout this film. Right, that's another what's the word for it? Not motif, but that's what's the thing for like reappearing? My brain is like fried today. I don't know why.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Like the word, it's the word for like when you have the same sort of like archetype or whatnot like appear in a story multiple times. It's a there's a word for that, and I can't think of it right now. It's starts with an M, but it's a repeated ideal. It's a repeated ideal. We'll just call it that. That appears throughout the film because you can also connect that to the ideas of parenting, right? Mentorship and parenting are a reappearing motif throughout the film, specifically
there isn't a guide to being Spider-Man.
No, yeah, and there's no guide to raising a Spider-Man. That being both literal in terms of Mayday, but also a bit more figurative in terms of Peter B. Parker to Miles and Jess to Gwen.
Mm-hmm. Just 2 ice monkeys chilling.
Nice. They're having a good little time. They've got their little sody pop. They're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, but it really, what would define a Spider-Man? Because there's probably at least there's probably one universe where there is a Peter Parker who's not bit, but nobody's bit, but he would still be the same heroic boy he is. He would still be like, if he sees danger, he's gonna try and help. You know?
Yeah, it's the Captain America of it all, right? In the first Avenger, my mind goes back to the scene where he's outside of a movie theater and the guy's harassing some girls, and then you immediately cut to them in the alleyway, and scrawny little the Batman of it all, sure. But the scrawny little Captain America says, "I can do this all day," as the little white twink he is, you know.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I feel like that innate sort of spirit brings that upon, but also there's the element, the figurative meaning behind great power comes great responsibility is that the bestowal of power upon the Spider-Men, the Spider People, it is a huge motivator behind their want to do good.
That's what she said.
There's an obligation with the ability to do good, to have a maximum impact on the world around you. And part of being a Spider-Man is like throwing in the face of what's possible, and flinging yourself towards every attempt to help another person. You know, it's truly special. And
Which also means there's probably a Spider-Man without an Uncle Ben who's going down the wrong path.
Well, that's what I'm discussing, is that, like, this film is perfectly set up to say that Uncle Ben doesn't define what makes a Spider-Man. That sort of motto, that mantra, doesn't need to be outright said to a Spider person for them to understand it. You can learn these same sort of lessons through different ways, and loss is never a requirement.
That's how it was with the Tom Holland movies.
Sure.
Because they didn't have the great power comes great responsibility until the third one.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, until the last one where they decided now we need it again.
Yeah, in the first one, there wasn't an Uncle Ben, and there wasn't even a spider bite. He was already Spider-Man. So, you're right. It doesn't, like, there doesn't have to be an Uncle Ben. There doesn't have to be anything that defines it. It's that doing good is what makes a Spider-Man a Spider-Man. But that comes into question, what if there's an evil Spider-Man? Is that still Spider-Man? Because at that point, does that
may
make
you rest in
Miguel
peace.
not a Spider-Man? Because he's still, like, trying to capture a 15-year-old, throw him into a prison.
I think what I said before was that Miguel is not behaving like a Spider-Man because he has given up on taking on insurmountable odds. He has let there's an element to when trying to be realism, you end up being pessimistic, right? You end up having a poor outlook. You underestimate what you're capable of because you're now more informed on what the world is capable of. And Miguel has fallen for that. That is the error of his ways. And throughout the story of the next film, Miles will be able to show Miguel that no loss is truly necessary, and that it is wrong in any way to accept that. You know, your own limitations. The Spider-Man, that's not something that they really like factor in. You know, it's fascinating the elements of Miguel that both do and do not align with being a strong spider person. It's fascinating to see in the movie when like Miguel has to like ask for backup and he's very resistant against that, right? How a different Spider-Man who truly does have altruistic intentions may resort to the same sort of conclusion. It's the Mr. Incredible fly home buddy, I work alone of it all, you know?
Yeah. But does that make all the other Spider-Man any less Spider-Man for helping Miguel and chasing after Miles?
I think they're wrong.
Does that make Peter B. Parker more of a Spider-Man by trying to help him, by trying to be there for him while that's going on?
I'd say yes, absolutely. It does make them less of a Spider-Man. As of right now, they are not. You have a seat on the council, but we do not grant you the rank of master. They're wrong for helping him.
I think that's more of how Miles is. Like, you are a Spider-Man, but we do not give you the rank of being part of the Spider Society.
Yeah, it's backwards.
Technically in quotes, Spider-Man. He's a boy with spider powers, but he's not what they would consider a Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Sure. But it's the complete opposite, because being a Spider-Man is not defined by your loss or your backstory. It's defined by your actions. And what is the action of a Spider-Man? The action of a Spider-Man is persistence under impossible odds. Spooderman.
Yeah. Spooderman.
What did you think of the inclusion of, like, memes in this film? There's a handful, such as...
I think with a movie this serious and heavy, having
the action of Spider-Man is to eat a bagel at a science test.
Because, like, if it was all, like, emotional, if it was all that would probably kill a lot of people emotionally, like you. Like, if they didn't have the comic relief, if they didn't have the "Find Spider-Man," and then they all did the point to each other, it was all just, like, emotional damage, all just emotionally breaking people down. I don't think it would be as impactful of a movie.
Yeah, talking another element, like I was discussing before, in terms of you made a multiverse movie, but your plot does not benefit from being a multiverse movie. Besides, it's going to make more money. And in terms of this film, they absolutely nail the elements of the scale of potential loss accrued by this being the multiverse story that it is. Whenever these universes start to collapse, the film plays that element entirely straight, and you see the death and the destruction and the loss of a universe right before your eyes. It's truly haunting and very adult imagery. Yeah, like what the Chai Tea guy, Mumbattan Spider-Man's whole world. It's incredibly disturbing.
But if he is a part of the council, he knows he's a canon event. So why didn't he, like, stop Miles? Because I know, like, he obviously does not want to lose the captain, but he probably knew that was his canon event.
That's a good question. I think there may be some elements of Mumbattan Spider-Man being a bit of a lower level spider in the Spider Council, right? He's definitely a contact. Because I'm pretty sure the situation is that they'll work with any.
It's obvious, like, he knew Gwen, he knew Punk, he knew all of them.
Yeah,
like, he was in on the drama, so he knew that stuff.
But it didn't seem like he was like a fundamental like commander or anything like that.
Yeah.
What I would say, my take, is that Mumbattan Spider-Man, it's the situation where you don't you may believe whatever you want to believe in these situations, but when it comes to you, right, when now that necessary loss on your side is at your front door, are you going to accept it? You know, and that's something that Miles can relate to, because that's the direct situation that he's in. He's up against those same odds that you're being told that your story has to go a certain way. And the other thing is, I think the meta disconnect, right? What I like about this film is that there are a lot of meta elements, but the characters don't see their worlds as any less real. So, Mumbattan Spider-Man does not truly see his life as a story that needs to meet certain metrics. He does see the true destruction and decimation of his own world in front of them, because that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. His world is collapsing right now. That is what is occurring.
My question is, let's say Miles stops his dad from being killed after he's sworn in as captain. Would that have any effect on it? Because he's not the original Spider-Man of his world. Would that collapse? Because his dad died in the Earth 42, and Peter A. Parker probably already went through that. So would that break their connected spider web?
So I would say no.
Because
The reason why I would say no is because first off, if you're making the discussion of canon events, then you're accepting Miguel's story to be take of the story to be true, which I think we both agree is not. We do not have all the full information here, but we can both pretty much assume that by the end of the film, we're going to understand that it is Miles is right. You know, he may not be able to put it into words just yet, but the accepting mandated loss is wrong. It's un-Spider-Manly, but it's also just ethically. Being a Spider-Man means seeing a trolley problem and throwing yourself at the trolley. That is what being Spider-Man means. And I feel like although
From a morale standpoint,
from if I'm gonna answer that question, the only option is to like answer it from Miguel's POV, because that's what we're arguing here, canon events. And my answer to that would be that Miles has taken on the mantle of the Spider-Man, thus he takes on the story burden. So I feel like from Miguel's POV, yes, it does matter that his father dies, right? Because this is the canon structure of the arachno-humanoid polymultiverse.
Or just the Spider-Verse for short.
The Spider-Verse for short, which also sounds dumb, the whole joke in the film. But in all reality, none of this is true.
Yeah. I do not believe that, like, there has to be canon events, there has to be all of that. I feel like that, having the Captain not die and having that big spot, I feel like that's the spot doing something, not a canon event being broken. So, canon events are very just stupid. Like, having to have somebody die does not make you Spider-Man.
the canon event should be the spider bite,
But
not Ben dying.
being a good person, being the person to always be there in danger, makes you Spider-Man. Now, my question is Spider-Man worthy?
Is Spider-Man worthy? What do you mean?
Is Spider-Man worthy?
Worthy of what?
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir? Oh, Mjolnir? Oh!
Like, do you think Spider-Man should be worthy of Mjolnir?
I think it depends on what Spider-Man we're talking about and what point in their story you're at. I feel like by the end of this of the second film of Beyond, Miles may be worthy. IMO.
I like to think what characters would make themselves worthy of it. Obviously, Captain America. I think aside from Thor, there is no other character more worthy than Captain America. In fact, I think Captain America might be more worthy than Thor. Just because of how he is. A character like Tony Stark would not be worthy.
Other than Vision.
Until he's sitting there, until he's ready to be like, this is it. This is where my story ends. When he takes the stones, at that point, I believe he would be worthy.
One of my chatters brings up an interesting point. Vision, Annoying Orange says, what's great about the Vision inclusion in Age of Ultron, him being worthy, is that it incidentally brings up this real discussion of the burden of innocence of artificial intelligence, right? The creation is by definition pure. It cannot do wrong because all it does is what it was designed to do.
I thought Vision being worthy was more of just because he's a machine, therefore it does not count that. Kind of like how Thor in Dark World just puts his hammer on a coat hanger.
I would disagree. I think Vision is authentically worthy.
I mean, I think so too. But I thought they explained it away by the fact that he is just a robot, therefore he can hold it. It's the same as just having a coat hanger hold it. It's being moved. It's like if you put it like on a tray, you pick up the tray and move it around. That's not you being worthy. that's just an inanimate object moving it around.
Yeah, this is
versus
Josh
a
Whedon we're
character-
talking about, right? Director of Age of
Yeah.
Ultron.
Oh,
He's dumb as dog tits, so I'm sure that he might think that.
I'm sure, like, yeah, it was like, I thought, like, I'm pretty sure to him it was, oh, he's a machine, therefore he's worthy.
Mhm.
Not that he's worthy, it's that he can hold it because he's not alive.
Yeah, but
Owen said any living thing, didn't he?
now we're kind of getting to the point where it's like, does art transcend the artist when the artist is sometimes kind of stupid and wrong? You know, can Harry Potter still be a good franchise even when whatever her name is, I forget, a transphobic lady is awful and terrible.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, she's my number one op.
What does op mean?
Opposer, opponent.
Oh, okay. You
She's my number one op.
The youth. I'm gonna quote Across the Spider-Verse to you now. He sent the message without any spaces. The youth. That's you. You're the youth.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm like maybe 5 years older than you.
Yeah. But,
I'm not that of a touch. I just like to pretend that I am because it's easier.
But I know, like, I just think it doesn't, like, being worthy. There's a lot. I think there's a couple of Spider-Man who've become worthy. I definitely think that, like, 616 original Spider-Man from the comics would definitely be worthy. So, like, could there be a worthiness metric for Spider-Man where if you're seen unfit to be Spider-Man, like Miguel doing evil intentions like that, locking up
Not evil
all that
intentions.
stuff to Miles.
His
Not
intentions
evil
are pure.
intentions, like, evil actions.
Impure action.
Like, if Thor were to have impure actions, I know the hammer would just fall on his foot. It wouldn't let him pick it up. They did that once before. So, like, it's just, would there be a worthiness metric to be Spider-Man?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it definitely is something that will be like a bit in discussion, like in this next film, because when Miles is going to make his attempt to reach out to the Spider Society,
Spider-Man
right?
to be like.
When he makes that attempt to reach out to the Spider Society,
Toby,
he's going to appeal to their nature, right? So I think that that's something that will directly be covered, is the element, not specifically worthiness of a Spider-Man, but bringing back to that responsibility, the ominous of ability is action, right? And I feel like that's what this film is, what the next film is perfectly set up to do. Now, I will say, although I do feel like Across the Spider-Verse is a perfect setup for Beyond still has a lot of work to do. There are some extremely important sequences that need to happen in Beyond that need to be nailed. When Miles addresses the Spider Society, that needs to be pulled off flawlessly without a single hiccup. So there's a lot riding on Beyond, but Across, in my opinion, is the perfect setup for Beyond. It is everything I could possibly ask and more for part one of a film that chooses to tackle the true heart of what it means to be Spider-Man. I'm shocked. I'm in awe. I think so. Let's move the topic onto something a bit more contentious, right? Into versus Across the Spider-Verse. So for me, I think my love of Across over Into, I would say that Into is around the 9 or 10 out of 10 range for me, but I do feel Across, and the amount of times I've seen it, which is like, I've seen Into like maybe 4 times, but I've seen Across like 10, 12. I think part of my bias for Across comes from how grand of scope it is. We had a DM'd conversation, right? And I brought up to you the concept of how adversity creates great art. And when you have capability the best way to motivate yourself to continue to make good art is to take on bigger and bigger stakes, you know? Increase your ambition. And Across the Spider-Verse is way more ambitious than we could ever have asked for in a follow-up to Into. So, what are some of your thoughts on the subject?
I don't think you know that. I don't know. My thoughts on that is just, without stuff like that, you get well-made films with not good story. Like we were talking about Beetlejuice 2. Once again, spoilers for that movie. It had, like you said, it had so many cool ideas for it, but because there was like no risk in it, there was nothing going against it. They were able to do all of those ideas, and it made a good movie. It just, I couldn't call it a great movie. I can say the CGI on it was good. I could say the concept of having Beetlejuice's not dead wife, but like wife come back to kill him is a cool idea.
Best sequence in the film, I think. Yeah,
that's like the best part about it. Having Willem Dafoe basically play himself as a ghost because he's a detective who's not really a detective because he's an actor playing a detective, which he's an actor playing an actor who's playing a detective. So he's literally just playing himself as a ghost. It's a pretty funny idea, but executed not well because that was basically a D plot to the B plot, and that B plot was merged with the A plot. It was all jumbled up. It didn't make any sense.
I'd like to bring this up though in discussion. What do you notice about the differences in terms? Because Across the Spider-Verse also has a lot of story. There's a lot of different stories.
Are you talking?
Yeah, those two are like the last two movies I've seen. I saw them both yesterday. So like they're just the freshest ones of mine. So I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna like have the best examples with them. But like with it, they did it well. Because one, Beetlejuice is about an hour 40 minutes, while Across the Spider-Verse was 2 hours and 20. So just with that, it's given it more time to develop the stories, more time to do that stuff. But Across the Spider-Verse, because it's a multiversal movie, it's made to have all those different plots. It's made to have Miguel. It's made to have Miles. It's made to have the Peter B. Parker with his baby, to have Gwen, to have Punk, have all these different characters, have all their different stories, and they set it up perfectly. They set it up for the next film perfectly to come together. But what I can't really say anything bad about Across the Spider-Verse. You're right, it's a 10 out of 10 movie.
I will say in terms of the difference in juggling multiple stories, in my opinion, what makes the big difference is that all the different ideas in Beetlejuice, like I think we counted like 7 different plot ideas. No two of those plot ideas shared any connective moral or thematic tissue between them that makes the film feel cohesive. So instead, the movie does feel like you're making 50 different spin-offs for Beetlejuice and you're just gonna throw them all at you. It's like a thematic buffet, you know? I feel like nothing.
Each character had their own story.
But every story in Across, though, those stories all share connective tissue, connective themes, connective discussions that all relate to each other. Therefore, 50 different stories, one message.
Yeah, versus Beetlejuice, it was just a bunch of different characters, a bunch of different stories, because they just wanted to tell those stories, but those stories didn't have anything to tell.
The cohesion of good ideas is more important than the number of good ideas.
It really felt like the same thing, because it's the same thing. Oh, Beetlejuice wants to marry the one girl. Lydia?
Yeah,
it's
Lydia.
Still the exact same thing. It's like, I really liked the beginning. Like, as I say, the beginning was really slow, but I really liked how at the beginning they didn't show Beetlejuice. it was just Lydia seeing him for a few seconds.
Mhm.
If they kept that up for maybe the first half of the movie, make Beetlejuice a little bit more ominous.
Yeah.
Before they gave him his comedics, him being like a comic, how he is. That would have been like very creepy. They would have been able to get like the creep factor out of Beetlejuice.
There's a discussion of like thematic effect in films, right? Building of tension, which I whenever I talk about Beetlejuice 2, I say the word tension a lot because the film lacks it in all forms. And if you wanted to build tension in this film, then you would actually refrain from showing us Beetlejuice. Because you talk about how the movie like opens and like the first 20 minutes there's no Beetlejuice. But here's the thing, he is there, he's just having his own little subplot in the background. So when he does finally show up and meet with the rest of our characters, there's no tension because we've been seeing Beetlejuice the whole fucking movie. The movie would have been more effective if we had less Beetlejuice until he actually shows up and is actually plot relevant. Isn't that wild? That's how filmmaking works, ladies and gentlemen.
I really wish that like they kept like they I really wish they made it the first time we actually get to see Beetlejuice himself like in frame for not more than a second is when Lydia and her whatever the guy's name was were in the attic and she was talking about him and like the trauma she had from him, and when he goes, "I'm gonna do this to help you get over this," Beetlejuice, without him being there for a
like to again bring the topic back to the more interesting film. I spent in his room.
We're like writing writing reviews like, why couldn't she be trans? Why couldn't she be all that? But like Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen were not written to be that type of character. They like characters like that can be written well. Do you know Guilty Gear Strive's Bridget?
No.
So
wait, is that the one with the lady with like the shark and the anchor?
No, that's May.
Oh, okay, that's the only Guilty Gear Stride. That's the only Guilty Gear Stride character I know.
So I'm gonna go on a small tangent.
Okay,
you know me.
hit me.
So Bridget is, first off, she's technically British, and I don't like that. I don't like British people. But she came from an aristocratic family, and like a time period where having twin boys was a very bad thing. It was a bad omen.
Okay.
And she was the second twin, so they raised her like a girl to society to make people think that, hey, we're not this bad omen because it's a rich aristocratic family. And so in the first Guilty Gear game she's in, she's always mistaken for a girl, and then she's like going around, she became a bounty hunter to prove her masculinity. But in Guilty Gear Strive, her story mode is her coming to terms with like her figuring out that, hey, this is just who I am, because after she left her town, she could have stopped being a girl, but she didn't. She kept the feminine stuff up. And that's like her coming to terms with the fact that, hey, this is who I want to be, this is who I am. So like having a character just be that way to make the viewers happy is not how you write a character.
Yeah,
like that.
Feels very unauthentic.
Obviously, like for actual trans people, there doesn't have to be a like story to it to why. It's more of just a, if you're gonna show a character like this in media, there has to be a reason for it.
When we're talking about like politics in media, right? To me, I feel like in this specific example, it has far less to do with the character herself, right? It is something entirely within character that like I think everybody could agree Gwen is an obvious supporter of, and we can all agree that she feels very passionate about this subject. But I feel like in terms of what does this actually say about the film, I feel like a lot of politicking indoctrinates entertainment for unnecessary purposes. But in this specific case, I feel like the truest real thing it says is that Phil Lord and Christopher Miller did truly maintain full creative vision for the film, down to every minute detail. Because that's the reason why I checked to make sure it was still in the film. Because very easily they could have removed that from the digital release just to like restrict criticism, you know? So I feel like what that truly tells us is that this movie is a unabashed, unadulterated creative vision.
Yeah.
And it's really great to see, because we don't have a lot of success stories like that with modern cinema.
And it's not just putting characters in there for the fan service. It's not doing that for the fans. It's doing it for the story that he wants to tell.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, they want to tell, yeah.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. You've seen the Lego Movie, right?
I have.
Yeah.
Did they direct that too?
They did, yes. They're behind the Lego Movie. I think they produced the Lego Movie too. I don't think they directly wrote it. But yeah, they are the Spider-Verse people too. They're absolutely fantastic. Let me pull up. Let's see. Phil.
Now I just find it really funny now that they directed both movies.
Yeah, and then they had the Lego Movie reference in Across the Spider-Verse, right? When they go to the Lego Movie world.
Oh yeah,
remember that?
Was the Lego world.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I was thinking of. They're most known. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. They wrote and direct 21 Jump Street, the My Name Jeff movie. Oh yeah.
I don't watch that movie.
This is all one of my other favorite projects for them. You watch Clone High?
What?
Have you watched Clone High?
No.
Do you know what Clone High is?
Nope.
Do you know Nothing Bad Ever Happens to the Kennedys?
Oh.
That's from Clone High. Yeah, that's a Phil Lord and Christopher Miller joint. Yeah. I like counter pop culture media, and Clone High does a really great job at that. I also think my favorite show of all time is the show Community, and that show is an excellent satire of pop culture tropes. Clone High had some issues, specifically in terms of early 2000s sexualization of teenager sort of thing, but it's also very self-aware. So although it does have the problems, it is self-aware about it. So whether or not that is poor for your taste is going to be up to the individual. But it is a fantastic show. It's very well written and absolutely hilarious. It's all for free on YouTube. You can watch all Clone High. Just don't watch the don't watch the what's it called? What's the comeback for it?
Reboot?
The reboot. Well, it's the continuation. It's not worth your time. There's some good shit. Do you like Jack Black, Tenacious D, that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack Black makes a musical appearance in one of the episodes. There's an episode which has an allegory for drug PSAs, and the drug dealer for the school is Jack Black, playing a character who's wearing he's wearing a gray hoodie, right? And all you can see is his eyes and his teeth, his big pointy teeth smile. But the drugs that he deals to the students is raisins, and they're smoking raisins. They're crushing up and snorting them. It's excellent. It's so funny.
How do you crush up and snort a raisin?
Very carefully.
Very, very carefully.
Excellent show. I love Clone High. That's a big recommend from me.
Yeah.
I love shows about characters that are profoundly and solidly flawed. I love consistently flawed characters. They may have growth, but there's always something deeply wrong with them that disconnects them from being a audience insert. I have such a distaste for the office gym of it all, right? This is the straight white male, so all the straight white males watching this show can feel comfortable. That is the worst possible trope in any media ever for me. Easiest way to get me disinterested in any given show I'm watching.
The Office?
I do like The Office. I did enjoy it. I do like the emotionality of the conclusion of it, but Jim was probably the worst part of it for me. I love I love Dwight, because Dwight is always a profoundly flawed character.
Rainn Wilson really hates it when people call him Dwight, because he really hates that's the only thing he's known for.
I knew him for Galaxar in Alien Monsters vs. Aliens. So excuse me when I see Rainn.
He was in that movie.
He's the villain of that movie. If I see Rainn Wilson in public, I'm addressing him as Galaxar. I, Galaxar, command you, Galaxar, to take these prisoners to the bridge.
Oh my god.
I love Rainn Wilson.
A lot of times I don't pick up on actors in animated movies because like they always do a voice or something, or I know they act like I had seen Monster vs. Aliens when I was a kid, so I didn't know like who that voice was doing Rain. Like I didn't know who that voice was doing him. Then later on I watched The Office, and because I hadn't seen that movie in so long, I didn't really put it together. But now that you told me, my entire world shook it.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Now let me bring the conversation a bit back to Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, so this is a related topic though. Do you know why? Do you know who played the Prowler, the live-action Prowler in this movie?
No.
His name is Donald Glover. Do you know Childish Gambino? Do you know This Is America?
Nope.
You don't know This Is America? Do you know Bonfire? These are famous Childish Gambino, very profound rapper. There's a reason why Donald Glover was picked to play the Prowler in this movie. Do you know why?
No.
Donald Glover was picked to be the Prowler for this film because, true story, Donald Glover is the reason why Miles Morales exists. The original comic book writers for Miles Morales, the original Miles Morales comic book, were inspired by fan casting for Donald Glover to be Spider-Man. That's what birthed the original Miles Morales Marvel comic book. So having Donald Glover appear in this film in live action in the Miles Morales Spider-Man movie is a nod to his unintentional, but he did directly acknowledge it, so intentional work in making this character exist in the first place. Absolutely wild, but true story. Very nice touch there. I love Donald Glover personally. I'm a big fan. I don't listen to a lot of rap, but I love Donald Glover's music. My favorite song from him is "Feels Like Summer." Definitely recommend that. That's a more like R&B sort of thing, but it's an excellent song. And I also love him as an actor too. I do want to watch Atlanta at some point. That's the show that he heads up. But also I mentioned that Community is my favorite show of all time. He's one of the main characters in Community. And Community actually aided and abetted Donald Glover's attempt to become Spider-Man. Because throughout the show, like, Donald Glover wears Spider-Man PJs and everything. So the creators are actually making reference to that. In addition, another Marvel crossover with specifically the show Community. The directors of Community are the Russo brothers, the directors of Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame and The Winter Soldier.
Oh wow.
It's directed by the Russo brothers. That it is. So I've just convinced you to watch the first episode of Community at least. It's the greatest show of all time.
Yeah.
Unbiased.
Unbiased. You know, it's an opinion, but it has to be true.
Yeah, it does have to be true. It's a phenomenal show. It's so good. I think I'm of the opinion that the pilot for Community is the perfect pilot to a show ever. If you do like shows, if you like the Dwight Schrute of it all in its unadulterated form, right? If you want to see a show where the Dwight Schrutes of the world are just there and they don't need to have the gym next to them to excuse their presence, if you want a show like that, that's Community. That's what Community is. Everybody in Community sucks. There's not a single... There's one... Okay, I can think of one truly good person in Community. There's one. And he's in like 3 episodes. This is the show for psychopaths by psychopaths. And the pilot is perfection. It's so good. 10 out of 10 show. Would recommend. So what are some other topics about Across the Spider-Verse we can discuss? I think we've talked about the story at length, the meta story of it all, but also the real story. I don't think we talked about the we talked about the characters. I don't think we talked about the voice acting at all. The voice acting is fantastic. I think go ahead.
It's a Sony movie, of course. The voice acting is going to be fantastic.
The standout vocal performances to me are Rio and Miguel. Some fantastic vocal performances.
I mean, personally for me, the Gwen and Miles voice acting is so perfect. You can hear their emotions in every single word.
Mm-hmm.
You can just feel it. Like, you can feel the pain, you can feel the struggle in every word they say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when they're trapping Miles to stop him from just stopping his dad from dying, you can hear the struggle in their voices. You can hear, like, it very much dampens the sound of it, because, like, you're in Miles' point of view, you're inside of there, you can barely hear them, but you can still hear their emotions in their voice. You can still hear the struggle.
Yeah.
You can hear them arguing. You can hear them saying, "Hey, don't do this. This is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this to Miles," and stuff like that. And it's superb. It's amazing. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. The emotionality is very strong throughout the film. There's another thing I want to bring up. Another topic we didn't talk about, which is very interesting for this film in particular, is visual foreshadowing. Three times in the film, I think, specifically, you have montages that include footage from further in the film and from beyond the Spider-Verse. Specifically, the moments I'm thinking of are, the first part is at the very beginning of the film. If you go back to the beginning of the movie and you watch Gwen when she's like banging on the drums before her bandmates interrupt her, you can see like the climax of this movie occurring. You see like images of Miles's dad, but we don't exactly know why he's in peril. And then later in the film, it happens twice with the Spot, where he has premonitions of Miles's father being killed. And he sees that loss as being just for retribution against Miles. That's another thing we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about Spot at all. Thoughts on Spot?
Yeah, Spot is an amazing villain. He is so funny, he's so comedic, yet scary at the same time. Because, I'm not saying that he's scary to me, it's that, a villain who not just wants to ruin your life because you ruined his is, like, normal. But it's the fact that, he actually has the ability to do that. It's like, it'd be like someone, like a villain of the week, like Doc Ock being to Spider-Man, "I'm gonna ruin your life, Spider." Why did I? That was more of a Green Goblin. "I'm gonna ruin your life, Spider-Man." But like, he can't really do that because he doesn't know who Spider-Man is under the mask. He can just fight him and hope he wins. With the Spot knows who Spider-Man is. He can just see into that. He knows how he can ruin Spider-Man. That makes him a horrifying villain because he has intention and he has the means to do that.
Yeah. I think he gains that sort of intellect on how to hurt Spider-Man the most through his transition, like, into the fabric of the multiverse, for sure. What I love about Spot, so you have that element of, like, the villain... He walks the line between pathetic and threatening so well. Yeah. Because everything Spot ever says is entirely genuine. He never cracks, like, a single joke in the whole film. Yet he is hilarious. He's very funny on accident. But what's fascinating about it is that his vocal performance never really changes until he gets, like, frustrated. But everything that he ever says is handled with the same level of honesty and sincerity. But he's still able to be both hilarious as comedic relief and pathetic, but also, like, genuinely threatening when our heroes realize what threat he truly, like, represents. It's amazing.
it's a very menacing villain. I think that'd be a perfect word to describe
Yeah.
him.
Did you fall for him being just a regular villain of the week that we would forget about early in the film?
So I already knew he wasn't because
Okay.
it's been a year and a half. Of course, I've had the movie spoiled for me. I've seen clips of the movie.
Sure.
So I already knew. I'd already seen the ending scene where he's all dark with the white scribbles. I'd already seen that. I already knew that he was gonna be a villain. I'd already seen a couple video essays talking about joke villains, kind of poking fun at the fact characters like Sans or the Spot are these characters that you're not supposed to take seriously until they start being serious, and then they can mess you up.
Sure. Yeah, I think you could make a solid I would listen to a video essay comparing Sans and Spot. There is a lot of comparison there. Weirdly enough, there's a lot of overlap. Yeah, that's very true. Very true. What are some other points to discuss? I do love the actor for Spot. We were talking about recognizing voice actors, and that man. Gosh, I'm struggling to think of his name right now, but he does a lot of Wes Anderson. Are we gonna die? Oh no! We're closing it. We're closing it. I know his face. Why can't I think of his name?
I don't think my army of mermonkeys will let us lose for a while.
Gotcha.
I really like the concept of a hero making a villain, kind of like Syndrome. Syndrome's a great example of how he was Buddy. He was just a fan of Mr. Incredible. He just wanted to help out, but Mr.
Jason
Incredible
Schwartzman.
Mr. Incredible stopped him from helping, and that's what made him a villain. That's what made him not want to help him anymore. That's what made him a villain. And that was it's always unintentional. That's not Mr. Incredible's fault for creating a syndrome. He was just trying to save him. While with Spider-Man, he was trying to stop the Collider. Didn't even try to hit him with a bagel, but he's the reason why the Spot is the Spot. And it's justified. I mean, it's somewhat justified that the Spot would hate him because it is Miles' fault, but it's just as much Gwen's fault, Porker's fault, Penny's fault, B's fault, Noir's fault, because they were all there.
Yeah.
They were all trying to stop it.
I think the movie, the concept of the film is so strong that almost any criticism you could have could be hand-waved away as intentional for some other reason. Specifically, for this example, I feel like there's a lot of elements in the film where, when we're talking about, collateral damage, right?
Yeah.
Where that plays into the elements of chaos in the multiverse, right? Of uncontainable outcomes to pure intentional, decisions, you know? That sort of I wish for $1 million and then you get crushed by a truckload of money, you know? The unintended consequence to your actions. So it's just one of those things where if you really spend the time at the writing stage of the film, you can truly craft a film where even its weak spots further the message that you want to share, you know. And this is another case for specifically the Spider-Verse films being a perfect multiverse story, because all of the problems you may have with the randomness of the film or whatnot are perfectly encapsulated with how the film is trying to characterize the multiverse.
And the Spot is a perfect villain for it, because if you're having a multiversal movie, you need to have a multiversal villain.
Yeah, multiversal threat. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah. Not even a villain, a threat.
Yeah.
Because he's a threat to the entire multiverse.
But personally, I think that
theoretically, because to Miguel, to him, if anything happens to Miles because of the Spot, the entire fabric of the universe is going to collapse because of the whole spiderweb thing. But he doesn't know that because he's never actually seen that.
Exactly.
He's seen a universe be destroyed because of his actions, but he hasn't seen it affect all of them.
So we even do touch on here. Let's do maybe one more game.
Yeah.
We do even touch on here on the Tony Stark of Age of Ultron of it all being trying to prevent like crime before it happens. He's trying to prevent an outcome he can't predict, but he's holding off that inevitability because of fear. He's allowing that fear to override the nature of the Spider-Man to take on these insurmountable odds. He's letting that fear control him. So it's you really get this like pop culture like nail right in the middle, right, with this film. It just it perfectly brings about and naturally brings about all of these terrific discussions that all like fantasy media try to discuss, you know? It's truly glorious. I am just astounded every time I watch this film by how well the details come together. I've one thing I've always said about Across the Spider-Verse is that if I had the money, I would buy an entire house, and I would put on every inch of wall a different frame from the movie, so I could just walk along the house and spend as much time like an art exhibit just looking at each different individual piece and searching for the emotions that it instills within myself. Because art is just as much about exploration as it is about like self-discovery, and this film is no different. It's one of those films where no matter how many times I watch it, it still brings out such a strong emotional a feeling within me. I follow through the plot with the same amount of like attention and care and concern. It just like great filmmaking creates timeless emotional response, and I feel that so strongly for Across the Spider-Verse.
It is a very emotionally and impactful movie, and I think that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, in most Spider-Man movies, the most emotional scene is when Uncle Ben dies. Or I guess in the Tom Holland movies when Aunt May dies. But, like, a movie should be more than just one character's death.
Mm-hmm.
And with so many Spider-Man movies, seeing the character's Uncle Ben, like uncle parental figure, die, it kind of loses its emotions to it. Like, did you know a couple months back, a lot of movie theaters are rerunning the Spider-Man movies only on Mondays each week?
I think I heard about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Specifically
so
the original trilogy, right?
No, it was not the original trilogy. It was all of the live-action ones in order that they came out.
Oh, okay.
So it went Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw this was my first time ever seeing the Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire movies in theaters. It's not my first time like seeing them in general.
Sure.
I was able to see like Willem Dafoe like as the Green Goblin in theaters. It was awesome, but like I also saw the Uncle Ben scene. And I'd already seen it before, but that was very emotional because it was on the big screen. I didn't see any of the other ones, but like if I were to keep going, I would have gotten to the Andrew Garfield movies, where Uncle Ben dies again, and it wouldn't be as impactful because I'd already seen it. And if I kept going, I would see the Aunt May's death in the third Tom Holland movie, and at that point, it doesn't matter. It's just another death. Using that as an emotional climax, which is what a lot of these Spider-Man movies do, is not good, because then that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
While Across the Spider-Verse does it the entire movie. You can feel the emotions through the entire movie. It's not just one character's death.
Mm-hmm.
It's the actions and the consequences.
And there's some truly dark content in here. That's why it's so great that we have Phil Lord and Christopher Miller at the helm, because they are experts of comedic relief, and you need that strong comedic relief in a PG-13 movie like this that's truly so dark. It's an extremely dark film. and you need something to balance those overtones. Otherwise, it would just be too depressing to make it through.
Yeah.
You know, there are a couple movies that I've seen that I love, but they're such a difficult watch that the thought of going back to rewatch them like hurts a little bit. You know, it would be taxing to do. Not to say those films aren't like worthwhile, and they shouldn't have been so dark. But this film could definitely reach those points where it may be too dark to enjoy. And it's very obvious the film wanted to say some deeper like tales, but was not willing to forgive or to do away with its darker but realistic messaging. You know, it wanted to fully embrace the implications of what happens. It is fully prepared to have this discussion, and it serves up this content in just a perfect enough way that you still end up laughing a lot through the film, and you can enjoy yourself. Yeah. It's mind-boggling. It is it's one of those things. I love my favorite type of movie when I see a film is if they didn't do it, you would think it was impossible. That's my favorite genre of film. Is that if this movie didn't exist the way it exists, then you would think it could never be done. And I this goes in that category for me. If Across the Spider-Verse did not exist the way it does, then nobody would ever believe you could follow up Into the Spider-Verse as well as this does, and nobody would ever believe that any film distribution company would greenlight a movie that actually strikes to the core of what Spider-Man is as a character and has a deep meta discussion about that. It takes Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. They are fans themselves, and they're taking all of their fame and turning it into timeless art that will be remembered. It's truly astonishing.
You are completely right. Without these movies, you wouldn't be able to see it be done. It would be... I don't know if anybody else could do it this good, honestly.
I agree. Yeah.
Just because, like, it's such an emotional film, and, like, going into it as a Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always been, like, the Marvel's comedic relief character. Like, him and Deadpool, they are known as, like, the comedic relief type characters. Like, have you seen any of the other animated Spider-Man shows?
Not fully, no.
Okay, so, like, most iterations of Spider-Man in animated form is just him looking at the camera and making a quip, then beating up the bad guys. So having a movie about Spider-Man that isn't just fully comedic relief, it's emotional, is so powerful.
They do make the comedic like elements of the characters very like natural. The writing feels so real for like Miles and all the jokes that he's making throughout the film. Like at some point they aren't even jokes. Like he says hey, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm just trying to lighten the mood. And you absolutely get that. Like I love the line where he's like, "Why do people say ATM machine? The M stands for machine." and like the jokes about like calling Spot a cow, and then when he goes and he pats Spot, it says like "good cow" like on the screen. You know, it really is the right people telling the right story, because they don't hold back on the comedic parts of Spider-Man as a character. They're telling a real story with comedic individuals at the front of it is not an easy task, but I feel is perfectly executed in this film.
Hold on, I think your mic cut out. I can't hear you.
Sorry, hello? Blah, 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 blah.
There we go, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so I think most people, in terms of, like, comedic films, won't even take the story that seriously. But Filler and Christopher Miller understand the character very well, and they demonstrate that in their mastery of the character for this film.
I mean, like, at the beginning, it was very comedic. It was very Spider-Man-y. Oh, it's Miles late for a meeting because he's beating up a bad guy. And the entire time, he's, like, making jokes about the bad guy because he doesn't take him seriously. He's just a villain of the week for him. Which I think them actually calling Spot that is really funny. Because that's not something, like, most people call it. That's a very much a fan thing to call it.
Yeah.
So Miles calling him the villain of the week is really funny. But, because of that, once it gets to, like, once the emotions start flowing, it stops being Spider-Man, the comedic relief character, and the emotions that come with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, some more thoughts about the film in terms of like getting close to like wrapping up. What I'm trying to think of is
how do you feel about the ending?
I feel very strong about the ending of the film. I feel like
first,
go ahead.
Where are we gonna like mark the ending? Like to a lot of movies, there's like a specific spot where there's the ending. Like for some movies, it could be the last 20 minutes, while the ending of other movies could be the last 5 minutes. So where are we marking? At what point are we putting it in the ending of the movie?
So this is half of a full story, right? It was written as one big story. Told in 2 parts. So I feel like where we mark the ending for Across the Spider-Verse is the cliffhanger of Miles figuring out that he's in the wrong timeline, and B, his gang of friends meeting up to save him. That's the ending. That's the cliffhanger.
I would agree with that.
Mm.
Because then it's like it's ending with Miles being powerless, being helpless. I mean, I have a feeling that the next movie is gonna open up with just him using his powers to is probably gonna shock them or something to get out.
Yeah, I love that they show that.
Suit for a moment.
Yeah, they don't like shy away and say, how is he gonna get out of this one? Tune in next week for Beyond the Spider-Verse. No, they show him rubbing his finger against the chains, and the music. We didn't talk about the music. The music is amazing, and the tension that's created in that scene when the music swells and you see him and he's preparing for his way to get out. It's just it invigorates the audience and excites them to say, I'm so ready to continue this story, you know?
Except for the fact, will it work? Because the punching bag and the chains are probably not conduct electricity, so he'll probably just shock himself by trying to do that to get out. And because he's tied up there, going invisible won't really do much.
Maybe, this is an interesting discussion. I never really had this talk about, will this shock actually work? I think, so he has the ability to absorb and redirect electricity through his body. So a guess that just comes off the top of my head right now is that he could be able to he could send the electricity through his thumb into the chains, and then using his ability to redirect electricity with his body, he could do it with his whole chest that's being held up by the chains, and he could act like a human conduit for the electricity, and he could shock the chains off the roof. He could literally cause an electrical fire or explosion that bursts the chains free, like Superman style.
I'm picturing they go for a kind of a comedic start where I think he's gonna break the punching bag, and the first 5 minutes is just gonna be him still tied to the punching bag but running away as he's being chased. Mm-hmm. I can see that happening, and them making comedy out of it at the beginning, only for him to be caught by Prowler Miles, only to have to be saved by his friends.
Also, what cool fucking design! Prowler Miles has an amazing visual style. It's gorgeous. The character design is unfathomably good.
Yeah.
So I think where that leaves us is specifically just in terms of like closing thoughts. Absolutely would recommend the film. I know we just spoiled the whole thing, but you
10 out of 10.
this isn't a movie that you can have the full experience spoiled for you. You have to watch it, and your experience will still be untouched. Like for example, can you describe a little bit more in depth your experience having been spoiled the film, but then watching it fully for the first time?
So I had known, like, I didn't really know the ending. I had just seen clips of the movie. Like I had seen stuff like the entire Spider-Man chase before. I'd seen so many memes about it. I've seen so many jokes about different Spider-Man in there, like a bit where they had a Spider-Man popsicle in the Spider Society who just slowly melted as he was there because he was a Spider-Man popsicle. I didn't really I had already known because I had seen the film theory on the like the next movie on it. So I had known a lot going in.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize how emotionally it was because I had seen all the bits that people clipped, and the bits people clipped are the funny moments, not the emotional moments. Because if you see a clip of an emotional moment, that's just a clip. That's just a part of it. If you see a clip of a funny moment, that's going to get you to laugh. That's not going to get you to feel emotions, like sad emotions, because you don't have the build-up to it. So going into it, I had known a lot of the jokes, I had known a lot of the gags, I had known stuff like him calling him a cow, calling him a villain of the week. I had known going in that he was his arch nemesis because of that. But I did not know going in how emotionally impactful it was. You obviously told me how much it was going to be, so I kind of had an idea.
Sure.
But before that, I didn't realize how emotional it was. I didn't think of pretty much a lot of it. I'm thinking of everything I already knew going into it. Like the chase scene, I knew a lot of the beginning stuff with a lot of the gags and stuff with him fighting Spot. But I didn't know the amount of emotions I'd be going through watching the movie.
I'm glad to hear it.
I should definitely rewatch it when I wasn't half asleep in my bed.
Absolutely, you absolutely should. I'll share another thing in terms of discussing theatrical experiences. I got the pleasure. They re-released Across the Spider-Verse in theaters this year, and I went and saw it. And the re-release was in Dolby Cinemas. Do you know what's special about Dolby screens?
What?
So Dolby, the comparison. You know what makes OLED different than normal screens, right?
They're just brighter and stuff.
Not necessarily. It's the opposite. OLED screens are special not because they're brighter, because they're darker. OLED screens power each individual pixel separately. So, example, from your normal monitor, each pixel is getting the same amount of power. So, all the blackest of black color will still have the same amount of light being emitted. But OLED screens emit less light through each pixel that is a darker shade, therefore creating a deeper contrast in color. Dolby screens are the same way. The projector powers less to the darker shades in the film, and therefore you get a deeper color contrast. Dolby is my favorite way to watch any movie that wasn't filmed entirely in IMAX. It's my preferred viewing experience. And I got to see Across the Spider-Verse in Dolby. That was my first time seeing it in Dolby. All the other times I didn't see it in Dolby because the Dolby theater next to me wasn't open just yet. But if you get the chance to see Beyond or Across and you get the option for Dolby, go for it. I would
definitely try to see Beyond in theaters.
Yeah, seeing Across in Dolby was a religious experience.
Because Into the Spider-Verse, I remember first watching it. I was at my dad's house with my step family. We all kind of had a movie night. We all watched together. Mm-hmm. It was just a not a kind of how we say a villain of the week. It's just a movie of the week movie because we always had movie nights. So it was just another movie I saw. It wasn't our experience that you had. So watching Across the Spider-Verse wasn't anything I looked forward to, because to me it was just a sequel to a movie night movie. It was just another movie to me. So, but now actually watching it, it's now prompted me to want the experience of experiencing What's the next movie going to be called?
Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Beyond the Spider-Verse. I'll look at that.
Well, I guess it's a fitting game over while we're doing closing thoughts, but we can close on this. Yeah. I in terms of going next for the podcast, I have a lot of film suggestions. I'd like to give the podcast some variety. I don't want to just talk about movies that everybody knows, but I'd like to recommend.
What if we had?
Go ahead.
We should definitely get like a really big spinning wheel, put a bunch of movies on it, whether we've seen it or not. And at the end of each episode, we spin it to see what movie we talk about next.
That's fair. I'd be down for that. I think we should set that up in between now and next podcast.
Yeah.
But I would like to get a good variety of both like this is a family friendly film, but mature films, weird movies. I love a good weird fucking movie. I want to show you shit that'll keep you up at night. I don't like horror, but I like freaky shit. I like weird movies. That's my thing.
One movie that'll haunt me for the rest of my days. Because my mom, my stepdad, and my brother, we used to always watch these like good bad movies. And there was one movie. It was called Coons, Bandits of the Night. And it was like about rabid raccoons. But like
what?
Some of the but like it was like this society of evil raccoons fighting against humans, and it was the type of plastered on fake mustache, like that was their budget for costumes and stuff. It was so horrible. I do say, hilarious.
If I could make one recommendation, it would be that we keep the podcast to movies that we generally recommend, because there's I don't know if you heard of the film reviewer Chris Stuckman, but recently he has like completely shifted within the past year. He will not talk about movies he can't like recommend positively, because he doesn't see that as truly giving anything to the art world, you know? That's feeding into echo chambers of negativity on YouTube. It's not necessarily like enhancing anybody's experience. So I would like to, if we're gonna make a wheel, fill it with films that we could actually like recommend.
I feel like we shouldn't just do single films. Like, if we're gonna talk about a movie, we should talk about its sequels and prequels. Like, we did talk a good bit about Into the Spider-Verse. So I feel like next time, if we're doing, let's say we do Revenge of the Sith, because that's the best of the prequels, we talk about all the prequels.
Might be a lot for me to watch all those. I'd prefer to keep it down to just one movie, personally. And also, I also want to talk about art films. And art films don't really have prequels or sequels. So
I guess
unless you're talking about
this one has a movie before, it's gonna have a movie come after.
Yeah, but unless you're talking about like X and Pearl and Roxanne, most of these films don't. So I'll send you a couple of suggestions and a description of different movies to watch next time. Definitely with some variety. And that way we can maybe expose the audience to something they are familiar of. So if you're watching this, chances are you probably have seen Across the Spider-Verse, but next time we hope to bring you a film that you've never even heard of, but by the end will convince you to watch. So thanks so much for having me on the show today.
Well, you say that like I'm the host of it. We're both co-hosts.
Yes. Thank you for doing this show with me.
Yeah, there we go. It was very fun.
Yes.
I hope we can do it again.
I had a great time, and I am free for this same schedule slot on a weekly basis, so I'm good for that.
Yeah, I'm off next Monday. I think I should be off the next Monday after that. If not, I would be, it'll be fine. Yeah, well, I have flexibility in my schedule for once in my life. I mean, like, I can always do Mondays, just, it might be later, it might be starting around this time, instead of when we usually start it, if I work that day. Because, like, we started at 7 p.m. EST, when I work, we end about 8 p.m. EST, so, like, we'd be starting, like, around now-ish, rather than when we started. Yeah, I could swing that. Then, I don't mind. Yeah. Alright, well, I'm gonna head to fucking bed. But thanks so much for hanging out with me and chatting about films. It's my favorite thing to talk about. Yep, and thank you guys for being in chat. Thank you guys for listening, watching, or whatever you did. And we'll see you next time. See you.